Why is Donald Trump continuing to pursue legal action and reject election standings, even though he presents insufficient evidence that would have to flip multiple states, and even if he won many of his lawsuits, they would not likely change the outcome of the election? There's even more if you look deeper. Donald Trump is not just taking his case to court. He is taking his case to the court of public opinion. And he doesn't care about the majority of public opinion. He cares about providing propaganda to his core followers. He and his team say one thing outside of court, but something different in court and in their filings. For example, his team claimed in front of cameras that Republican election watchers were not allowed in the room. But when asked by the judge, the attorney had to admit that there was a, quote, non-zero number of Republican election watchers in the room. Donald Trump and his team have claimed a stolen election. First, this works to lessen the view that his legal actions are not those of a sore loser, which he and supporters called Hillary Clinton in 2016 when the Green Party filed for recount that were later supported by the Democrats.
Out there calling for recounts that are unsubstantiated based on no evidence. This was a legitimate election, and no one should question the fact that Donald Trump is the president-elect.
Hillary is on her sore loser tour, and now we have her going through recounts. You know what she needs to do? She needs to get over it. She lost. Yeah. Get out of the way and let Donald Trump be president.
Do you think the Democrats are sore losers? Yeah, I do.
The reality is they're a bunch of spoiled crybabies.
Newsflash for many of the partisan Democrats and those in the mainstream media who continue to try to delegitimize President-elect Trump's massive and historic win last month. The election's over. Hillary Clinton lost. You have to win 270 electoral votes to be elected president, and President-elect Trump actually got 306. This is all really just an effort to try to delegitimize the win.
The left's going to lie. The left's going to besmirch.
They're going
to go crazy.
Now.
They can't accept the election results, let alone the fact that he's actually going to solve problems.
They have to decide whether they're going to interfere with him finishing his business, interfere with the peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Pence, or if they're going to be a bunch of crybabies and sore losers about an election that they can't turn around.
This is America. We live in a democracy. Everybody, when they woke up in the morning, is registered to vote, could go choose. So how about respecting the majority that also live here, and their vote should count?
Brian, they're saying it's rigged, but they have absolutely no evidence that it's rigged.
I don't even think we should give him the time of day. Also, he's about to win. We know it's a matter of time, about to win Michigan officially. So that would put Donald Trump over the top with over 300 electoral votes. It was a blowout. It was a blowout. I just wonder what these Democrats are doing, trying to convince their electoral representatives not to vote the way the people want.
There are 6 of them.
Now there's these states. Let's have a recount.
We believe in free speech. We believe in accepting winners and not being sore losers.
They have no actual proof of voter fraud or any wrongdoing, and both the White House and the Wisconsin Elections Commission have both said zero evidence whatsoever. Now, what happened to the peaceful transition of power and supporting the incoming administration?
Second, it provides him cover from the loss and the opportunity to stand before his sycophants and claim that they did not actually lose the election. For those desperate enough to believe him, the words have him poised as the true winner of the election and the rightful candidate to pick up the mantle for 2024. 4 years is a long time, so whether that holds true when his hundreds of millions of dollars in debt come due is something we'll wait and see. But staying relevant also keeps his politics and his agenda at the forefront of the Republican Party. He has already come out to say that his selection for Republican National Committee chair should be reappointed at the end of her term. We saw this in the run-up to his first campaign, when he attempted to delegitimize President Obama as being foreign-born, again, with no evidence.
I want him to show his birth certificate. I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh, my God.
Is it Donald Trump's right to file these lawsuits? Well, yes, despite what some on the left might think. You see, in America, you can, almost, sue anyone for anything for any reason. There can be some penalties for filing frivolous lawsuits, but filing is a right, and there are mechanisms in place for dealing with frivolity and mechanisms in place for dealing with legal claims brought by Trump. While it is Trump's right to sue, it is not appropriate. We, the American people, have the expectation that our leaders support the good of the United States, and not merely what is perceived as good for themselves. Filing lawsuits without merit, preventing the smooth transition of power by denying the necessary transition information, including handbooks and intelligence briefings, and firing long-standing civil servants is not for the good of the American people. Some of the states were closer in the 2016 election than Trump is suing for now. So it's not the closeness of the election that opens the gates to challenge. It is about keeping supporters working against a shared political system. Viewing oneself and one's own team as the victim of political forces set to undo him. As states begin certifying their elections, it will be interesting to see if there is a change in the rhetoric from the White House and his enablers in Congress. We can already see senior Republican senators calling for Biden to be included in the daily security briefings. This is viewed as preparing for all contingencies, but is a way to move forward while sidestepping the president's calls of a stolen election. America has great faith in its court system, even as the Supreme Court has been unjustly filled with staunch conservatives. This is because the Republican-controlled Senate refused to address the Supreme Court appointment that was put forward during President Obama's tenure. But no matter how the justices get there is great faith in America for the decisions that they render. Why does Trump continue to stand against the election results? It would seem to be based on maintaining political power against the establishment. Perhaps to launch his own media brand to challenge Fox News. Perhaps to sabotage the president-elect. Perhaps to maintain control of the Republican 2024 presidential candidate selection as a candidate himself or a kingmaker. Perhaps it is to maintain a staunch right-wing conspiracy apparatus that unites Christian conservatives, racist nationalist terrorists, flat-earthers, and anti-vax, anti-mask as victim-claiming narcissists who praise authoritarian leadership and welcome the downfall of our democracy. But really, only Trump knows himself.
Democrats are being sore losers. They refuse to acknowledge they lost the election, so what do? They cry malfeasance, wrongdoing, criminality, fraud.
Democrats, more so than Republicans, seem to have a problem conceding defeat. Either the election system broke down or some mystery votes are hiding somewhere.
You have a whole series of Democrats who've just said bluntly, if our candidate doesn't win, they stole the election.
The Dems just want to make America suffer. It's like losing the World Series and demanding an extra inning a day later.
The Democrats are refusing to accept the declared results of the national media. So how do they do this? Lo and behold, they find missing ballots.
The radical left is attacking the sanctity of our votes,
refusing to accept the midterm election results. So what if these were Republicans refusing to concede?
Democrats may see how they'll be able in the future to steal elections through lawsuits that they can't win with the voters.
Ramping up election conspiracy theories, accusing Republicans of outright stealing the election. Kind of rich. You know what? Sounds sore loserish.